Rebecca Stone pressed her face against the transport window and watched the massive university grow larger. Galactic University Station Omega. 7 stretched across space like a giant metal flower, each petal a different academic building. Somewhere in that maze of corridors and classrooms, she would spend the next 4 years studying biochemistry alongside beings from dozens of worlds. First humans ever accepted into the program, David Park said from the seat beside her. He scrolled through his datapad, reading admission statistics for the 3rd time that morning. Out of 40,000 applicants across the galaxy, only 300 got in, and 3 of those are from Earth. Amy Wilson bounced in her seat despite the safety harness. I still cannot believe this is real. Actual alien professors teaching actual alien biology. Do you think they will let us dissect specimens? Probably not on the first day, Rebecca said, but she smiled. Amy's enthusiasm never faded, even after the 18-hour flight from Earth. The transport docked with a gentle thud. When the doors opened, the 3 humans grabbed their bags and stepped into a corridor that smelled like ozone and something sweet they could not identify. Other students moved past them in every direction. A being made entirely of crystalline structures floated by, humming a musical tone. Something with too many legs and iridescent fur scuttled along the ceiling. 2 creatures that looked like walking plants discussed something in a language of clicks and whistles. Nobody looked human. Nobody looked even close to human. The holographic guide appeared in front of them, displaying a friendly face that shifted between species every few seconds. Welcome, Earth students. Please proceed to Orientation Hall 7. Your integration schedule begins in 20 minutes. They followed glowing arrows on the floor through winding passages. The station operated on a standard galactic cycle, which meant the lighting shifted between bright and dim on a rhythm that felt wrong to their Earth-trained bodies. Rebecca already missed the sun. Orientation Hall 7 contained about 50 students. The humans took seats near the back, trying not to stare at their classmates. Most of the aliens stared right back. Whispers filled the room in languages the translation devices struggled to process, but a tall being with skin like polished stone stepped to the front. I am Administrator Pell. You represent the finest minds from your respective worlds. Here, you will learn from each other as much as from your professors. The galaxy thrives on cooperation and understanding. The speech continued for another 10 minutes, covering rules and expectations. Then Administrator Pell announced the schedule. Your first week includes integration activities. You will share meals, attend mixers, and participate in cultural exchange seminars. We find that students who eat together learn together. Rebecca leaned toward David. Did they say eat together? Most species have some form of nutrient intake, David whispered back. Should be fine. The first shared meal happened that evening. The dining facility looked more like a laboratory than a cafeteria. Different sections catered to different biological needs. One area glowed with ultraviolet lamps for photosynthetic species. Another contained sealed chambers filled with specific atmospheric mixtures. A third offered liquid nutrient baths. The human section consisted of 3 simple tables with normal chairs. The university had installed a small kitchen that could prepare Earth food from the supplies the students brought. Rebecca unpacked a sandwich she made that morning. David pulled out leftover pasta, and Amy assembled a salad. Within minutes, they had an audience that a floating jellyfish-like creature drifted closer, its translucent body pulsing with bioluminescent patterns. Several thin tentacles extended toward Rebecca's sandwich. Forgive my curiosity. You are the humans, correct? The carbon-based life from the Class 9 world. That is right, Rebecca said. I am Rebecca. These are David and Amy. I am Dr. Quilmesh, professor of xenobiology. I must admit, I have never observed consumption-based nutrition in person. May I watch? Sure, Rebecca said. She felt suddenly self-conscious about her sandwich. More aliens gathered. A creature with 4 eyes and scales. 2 beings that looked like mobile plants. Something that resembled a geometric collection of floating cubes. They formed a semicircle around the human tables, watching with intense scientific interest. Amy picked up her fork. Should we explain what we are doing? Might help, David said. Rebecca held up her sandwich. This is bread, vegetables, and protein from a bird we call chicken. We are about to demonstrate human eating. She took a bite. The simple action of chewing and swallowing felt strange with so many eyes watching. The aliens leaned closer, some extending sensor organs or recording devices. Doctor Quillmesh's tentacles quivered. Fascinating. You use mechanical processes to reduce the matter into smaller pieces. But then what happens? Where does the food go? David swallowed his pasta. It goes to our stomach. That is an internal organ that breaks down food using acid. Several aliens shifted backward. One made a sound like breaking glass. Acid? Dr. Quillmesh asked. As in corrosive chemical compounds. Hydrochloric acid, mostly, Amy said cheerfully. Very strong stuff. It helps break down proteins and kills bacteria. You carry acid inside your body. A scaled alien's voice rose in pitch. Concentrated enough to dissolve organic matter. Well, yes, Rebecca said. That is how we extract nutrients. The stomach acid breaks everything down, then enzymes continue the process in our intestines. Our bodies absorb the good stuff and eliminate the waste. The geometric cube being rotated rapidly. Define enzymes. Biological catalysts, David explained. They speed up chemical reactions. We have different enzymes for different nutrients. Amylase breaks down carbohydrates. Lipase handles fats. Protease works on proteins. Dr. Quillmesh's entire body flashed bright purple. You are describing controlled molecular destruction. Inside your body. Continuously. I guess you could put it that way, Rebecca said. And these enzymes, one of the plant-like beings asked, they're produced by your own cells. Some are, Amy said. But we also have bacteria that help. Trillions of them, actually. They live in our digestive tract and produce additional enzymes, vitamins, and other useful compounds. The room went completely silent. Dr. Quillmesh drifted backward, tentacles retracting. Did you say trillions? As in trillions of separate living organisms? Inside your body. Right now. All three humans nodded. Point one alien fainted, its body going limp and floating gently to the floor. Another activated what looked like an emergency communicator. Medical team to dining hall 3. Possible contamination event. The scale being back toward the exit. They are host organisms. Mobile colonies. This was not in the orientation materials. Rebecca looked at David and Amy. Did we say something wrong? Before anyone could answer, alarms began ringing throughout the station. The security team arrived in full protective gear. 6 beings in sealed environmental suits surrounded the human tables. Scanning devices pointed at Rebecca, David, and Amy. Red warning lights flashed across the dining hall ceiling. The other students had evacuated, leaving only the medical personnel and the increasingly confused humans. Please remain calm, a mechanical voice said through one of the suit speakers. You are not in danger. We are conducting standard biological safety protocols. Safety protocols? Rebecca stood up slowly, hands visible. What is happening? We were just eating lunch. A tall insectoid being in a white coat approached, staying several meters away. Its translator produced a calm, clinical voice. I am Dr. Venrick, Station Medical Director. We received reports of uncontained biological agents in this sector. Specifically, reports that you are carrying trillions of foreign organisms in your body cavities. David blinked. You mean our gut bacteria? Gut bacteria, Dr. Venrick repeated, as if testing the words. You acknowledge that you host massive quantities of microorganisms internally. Of course, Amy said. Every human does. It is completely normal. We need them to survive. The insectoid's antennae twitched rapidly. Need them? You have a symbiotic relationship with bacteria, numbering in the trillions. More or less, David said. They help us digest food, produce vitamins, regulate our immune system. Without them, we would get very sick. One of the suited security officers made a choking sound. Another adjusted their scanner and checked the readings twice. Dr. Venrick consulted a datapad. And this acid chamber you mentioned, the stomach, Explain its function in detail. Rebecca tried to remember her biology classes. The stomach produces hydrochloric acid with a pH around 1.5 to 3.5. That is extremely acidic. It breaks down food mechanically and chemically. The acid denatures proteins and activates digestive enzymes called pepsins. It also kills most harmful bacteria we might accidentally ingest. You maintain a reservoir of industrial-strength acid, Dr. Venrick said slowly, capable of killing bacteria and dissolving organic tissue inside your body at all times. Yes, Rebecca said, though it came out as more of a question. Dr. Venrick turned to the security team. Quarantine Protocol 7. Seal this section and establish a sterile perimeter. Wait, Amy said, standing up quickly. Quarantine? We did not do anything wrong. This is just normal human biology. That may be, Dr. Venrick said, but normal for your species appears to be a biological hazard by galactic standards. Until we can verify that you pose no threat to other students, you must be isolated. The next 6 hours passed in a blur of medical scans, sample collections, and increasingly detailed questions about human physiology. The 3 students sat in a sealed observation room, while teams of scientists studied them from behind protective barriers. News had spread fast. Through the transparent walls, they could see crowds of aliens gathering, pointing, and recording. David scrolled through his datapad, which still had limited station network access. We are trending on every major galactic news feed. Look at these headlines. Deathworld students carry acid weapons. Mobile bacterial colonies discovered at university. Earth organisms, symbiotic or parasitic. This is insane, Rebecca said. We try to explain this is normal. Amy pressed her hand against the transparent wall. A small alien child on the other side jumped back in fear, then ran to its parent. They're terrified of us. They think we're monsters. A new figure appeared outside the observation room. Unlike the others, this being showed no fear. It resembled a massive tree, with bark-like skin and branches that moved like arms. Its face, if it could be called a face, consisted of deep grooves in the trunk that somehow conveyed expression. The intercom crackled. I am Dr. Hilver, xenoanthropologist. I study cultural and biological diversity across the galaxy. May I enter? Rebecca looked at the others. David shrugged. Sure, not like we were doing anything else. The door slid open and Dr. Hilver moved inside with slow, deliberate steps. Up close, the being smelled like fresh rain and old wood. It settled its massive form onto the floor, roots extending slightly for stability. I have been reading the medical reports. Dr. Hilver said, its voice like wine through leaves. Fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. Everyone else seems to think we are horrifying, Amy said. Because they lack context, Dr. Hilver said. They see only the mechanisms without understanding the environment that shaped them. Tell me about Earth. For the next hour, the humans talked. They described blue skies and oceans, seasons and weather, the constant competition between species, the presence of predators and prey. They explained about Earth's high oxygen content, its strong gravity, the temperature extremes, the geological activity. Dr. Hilver listened without interrupting. When they finished, the ancient being made a sound like branches creaking. You come from a Class 9 deathworld, one of the most hostile environments known to produce sapient life. Of the 7,000 cataloged worlds that support complex organisms, fewer than 50 rank as Class 9. Earth is exceptional in its brutality. Brutality, Rebecca said. Your world is trying to kill you at every moment, Dr. Hilver said simply. The atmospheric oxygen concentration would be toxic to most species. The gravity would crush them. The microbial competition is so intense that you evolved internal acid chambers and symbiotic bacterial colonies just to extract enough energy to survive. You are not monsters. You are masterpieces of adaptation. David leaned forward. Can you explain that to everyone else? I can try, Dr. Hilver said, but understanding requires more than words. Your digestive system is aggressive because it must be. Your world demands efficiency. Every calorie matters when you might face food scarcity, temperature extremes, or predator attacks. What these other species see as horrifying, I see as elegant. Tell that to the medical team in hazmat suits, Amy said. Dr. Hilver's branches rustled with what might have been laughter. I've spent 3 centuries studying deathworld species. Very few achieve sapience because the energy requirements are too high. But those who do, like humans, develop remarkable capabilities. Your digestion is merely the beginning. What do you mean? Rebecca asked. Think about what your body can do, Dr. Hilver said. You maintain constant internal temperature despite external changes. You heal from injuries that would be fatal to most species. You can consume an enormous variety of food sources because your digestive system is so aggressive. You can survive in environments with wildly different air pressure, temperature, and oxygen levels. You are endurance predators, capable of pursuing prey until it collapses from exhaustion. Do you understand how rare that is? The 3 humans sat in silence, processing this perspective. The others fear you because they cannot imagine needing such extreme biology. Dr. Hilver continued. I will present my findings to the council, but I suspect words alone will not convince them. They need to see what deathworld survivors can actually do. Outside the observation room, more crowds gathered. News drones hovered, recording everything. Somewhere in the station, officials debated whether Earth students should be expelled entirely. The humans could only wait and hope that understanding would eventually replace fear. The emergency council meeting happened at midnight, station time. Rebecca, David, and Amy watched from their quarantine room through a live video feed. Delegates from 20 different species sat in a circular chamber, their translation devices creating a constant background hum of overlapping voices. Administrator Pell called for order. We must decide the fate of the Earth students. Are they a threat to station safety? A delegate resembling a cloud of glowing particles spoke first. The medical scans are clear. These organisms carry enough bacterial life to populate a small moon. The acid concentration in their stomachs could dissolve hull plating. They're walking biohazards. That is not fair, Amy said to the screen, even though no one could hear her. Another delegate, this one crystalline and geometric, added its perspective. My world has strict protocols against biological contamination. We cannot risk exposure to such aggressive microorganisms. What if their bacteria escape and colonize our station systems? Dr. Venrick presented the medical findings. Holographic displays showed detailed scans of human digestive systems, bacterial populations highlighted in bright red. To the council, it looked like an invasion map. The organisms in question are contained within sealed biological systems. Our analysis suggests no immediate risk of transmission. However, the presence of such massive bacterial colonies is unprecedented in this facility. Unprecedented does not mean safe, the particle cloud delegate said. I move for immediate deportation. David punched the wall softly. They are not even trying to understand. Dr. Hilver entered the council chamber, roots moving slowly across the floor. The ancient being commanded respect through sheer age and experience. I request permission to speak on this matter. Administrator Pell nodded. The council recognizes Dr. Hilver. Thank you, the tree-like being said. I have reviewed the evidence and interviewed the students extensively. What you perceive as a threat, I see as extraordinary adaptation. Earth is classified as a Class 9 death world. The students' biology reflects the extreme challenges of their home environment. The geometric delegates' structure rotated skeptically. Extreme biology is precisely our concern. They are too different, too dangerous. Different, yes. Dangerous, no, Dr. Hilver said. Consider the evolutionary pressures on Earth. High gravity means strong skeletal and muscular systems. Oxygen-rich atmosphere means efficient energy metabolism. Intense microbial competition means robust immune defenses and symbiotic relationships. These students are not designed to harm you. They're designed to survive conditions that would kill most of you within minutes. A delegate that looked like a collection of floating ribbons spoke up. But they're digestive acids. Surely such corrosive materials pose a risk. Only if released from their containment system, Dr. Hilver said, which requires the student to be severely injured or dead. The same could be said of many species here. The thermals produce plasma at 3,000 degrees. The cryons maintain body temperatures that would freeze most organic matter instantly. We do not quarantine them because their biology is contained and controlled. That is different, the particle cloud delegate insisted. Those are physical properties, not biological invasions. Dr. Hilver's branches spread wide. I understand your fear. You see humans and think of disease, contamination, chaos. But I ask you to consider another perspective. Deathworld species develop remarkable capabilities precisely because their environments demand it. The human digestive system is not a weapon. It is a survival tool, honed by millions of years of evolutionary pressure. Administrator Pell consulted something on a datapad. Do you have evidence that humans pose no threat? I have 3 centuries of xenoanthropological research, Dr. Hilver said. Deathworld species are statistically less likely to cause harm to others because they already possess everything they need to survive. They have no evolutionary pressure to expand, conquer, or dominate. They simply want to exist. The council chamber filled with murmuring voices and flashing translation lights. Before anyone could respond, an alarm cut through the discussion. Not the biological hazard alarm from before, but something worse. A sharp, urgent wail that made every delegate freeze. Administrator Pell's expression shifted to panic. Coolant system failure in Laboratory Wing 5. Toxic gas leak. Multiple students trapped. The chamber erupted in chaos. Delegates shouted questions and demands. Security teams scrambled. On the video feed, Rebecca could see the emergency map showing Laboratory Wing 5. It was only 2 corridors away from their quarantine room. We have to help, Amy said immediately. David was already at the door, pounding on the sealed entrance. Let us out. We can reach them faster than any emergency team. A security officer appeared on the other side. You are in quarantine. You cannot leave. People are dying, Rebecca shouted. That gas will kill them in minutes. We can hold our breath. We can move in high-stress environments. Let us help. The officer hesitated, looking at something off-screen. Then the door slid open. Go. Fast. The 3 humans ran. Their Earth-trained bodies moved with speed and power that seemed impossible to the lighter gravity aliens watching. They covered the distance to Laboratory Wing 5 in under a minute, their hearts pounding, but their breathing controlled. Smoke billowed from the laboratory doors. Through the haze, Rebecca could see alien students collapsed on the floor. Some were unconscious. Others weakly tried to crawl toward exits that had jammed shut from the emergency lockdown. How long can you hold your breath? David asked. Maybe 90 seconds, Rebecca said. 2 minutes if I push it. Same, Amy said. Let us go. They each took a deep breath and plunged into the toxic cloud. The gas burned their eyes and skin, but their Deathworld-adapted bodies could tolerate it briefly. Rebecca grabbed a small crystalline student and ran for the exit. David lifted 2 plant-like beings, one under each arm. Amy found a floating jellyfish creature and pulled it towards safety. Out in the corridor, they deposited the first group and immediately went back. Their lungs screamed for air, but they pushed past the pain. Another trip, another group of students saved. Then another dot on the 4th run, Rebecca's vision started to blur. Chemical burns appeared on her arms. David's breathing became ragged when he finally exhaled. Amy collapsed after dragging out the last student, her body shaking from exertion and exposure. Emergency medical teams arrived as the humans lay on the corridor floor, coughing and gasping. Around them, 17 alien students were alive because 3 deathworlders refused to let them die. News drones captured everything. The footage spread across the galactic network faster than the earlier panic had. This time, the headlines were different. Earth students risk lives in rescue. Deathworld biology saves 17. Humans, monsters, or heroes? In the council chamber, every delegate watched the same footage. Dr. Hilver said nothing, simply letting the evidence speak for itself. The vote on deportation was postponed indefinitely. The medical base smelled like antiseptic and ozone. Rebecca lay in a bed designed for species half her size, her legs hanging off the end. Healing gel covered the chemical burns on her arms, slowly repairing the damaged tissue. 2 beds over, David received oxygen therapy for his damaged lungs. Amy sat between them, her injuries minor, but her exhaustion obvious. Doctor Vinrick moved between the beds, checking vital signs with instruments that beeped and hummed. The insectoid doctor's earlier fear had transformed into professional curiosity. Your recovery rate is remarkable. The burns that would take most species weeks to heal are already showing significant improvement after 6 hours. Humans heal pretty fast, Rebecca said, her voice rough from smoke inhalation. Comes with living on a world that constantly tries to hurt you. Fascinating, Dr. Venrick said, making notes on a datapad. Your cellular regeneration operates at approximately 4 times the galactic average. And your pain tolerance, the fact that you continued functioning while injured, that suggests neurological adaptations as well. A soft chime announced a visitor. Dr. Hilver entered, having to duck slightly to fit through the doorway. The ancient being approached Rebecca's bed. You saved 17 lives today. The council is reconvening to discuss the implications. We just did what anyone would do, Amy said. No, Dr. Hilver said gently. You did what very few could do. Most species would have died within seconds of entering that toxic environment. You survived long enough to make 4 separate rescue runs. That is not luck. That is deathworld evolution. David adjusted his oxygen mask. Are they still trying to deport us? The political situation has shifted, Dr. Hilver said. Fear is being replaced by questions. Many delegates now want to understand rather than eliminate. Though I suspect some will never fully accept your presence. The door chimed again. This time, a group of students entered, led by the small crystalline being Rebecca had carried out first. The creature's geometric structure sparkled with flashes of color that the translator interpreted as emotional states. We wanted to thank you, the crystalline student said, its voice like wind chimes. I am Prism. You saved my life when you had no obligation to do so. When your own species was being threatened with expulsion. It was the right thing to do, Rebecca said, simply that a plant-like student stepped forward, leaves rustling. I am verdant. My species has been part of this university for 200 cycles. In all that time, I have never heard of students risking themselves for others the way you did. We were strangers. You were in quarantine, yet you ran toward danger. That is what humans do, Amy said. We protect people, even people we just met. More students filed in, each one saved from the laboratory. They brought gifts, simple things from their homeworlds. Crystals that glowed with internal light. Seeds from rare plants. Data chips containing music and art. The small room filled with grateful aliens, all wanting to express thanks to the 3 deathworlders who refused to let them die. Dr. Quillmesh floated in last, the jellyfish-like professor who had first panicked at the dining hall. Its tentacles moved in careful, respectful patterns. I owe you an apology. When I learned about your digestive biology, I responded with fear instead of scientific curiosity. I forgot the first principle of xenobiology. Different does not mean dangerous. It is okay, Rebecca said. Our biology is pretty extreme by galactic standards. Extreme, yes, Dr. Quillmesh agreed, but also elegant. I have been researching Earth biology since yesterday. The complexity of your digestive system, the symbiotic relationships with trillions of microorganisms, the chemical processes you use to extract nutrients, is a masterwork of evolution. I was wrong to fear it. The professor extended a tentacle, offering a small device. This is a research proposal. I would like to co-author a paper with you about deathworld digestive adaptations. If you are interested, Rebecca took the device, surprised. You want to work with me? I want to learn from you, Dr. Quillmesh said. Fear blinded me to an incredible opportunity. You represent a form of life that solved problems my species never had to face. That knowledge is valuable. Over the next few days, the atmosphere on the station changed. Students who had fled from the humans in terror began approaching with questions. What is it like to carry bacteria inside you? How does acid not burn through your stomach? Can you really survive in such high gravity? The humans found themselves giving impromptu lectures in hallways and study rooms. They explained cellular biology, immune systems, the nitrogen cycle, predator-prey relationships. Every answer led to more questions. Prism brought friends to meet Rebecca, who patiently explained how bone structure works under high gravity. Verdant studied with David, comparing plant-based metabolism with animal digestion. Amy helped a group of photosynthetic students understand how chemical energy storage differs from solar absorption. The Galactic Health Council released their final report. Humans posed no contamination risk. Their bacterial colonies were contained and necessary for survival. Their digestive acids were safely isolated within specialized organs. The report concluded that deathworld biology, while extreme, operated within acceptable safety parameters. The council vote was not unanimous, but it was clear. The humans could stay. Administrator Pell made the official announcement in a station-wide broadcast. After careful consideration and review of recent events, Galactic University Station Omega 7 welcomed students Rebecca Stone, David Park, and Amy Wilson as full members of our academic community. Their courage and selflessness demonstrated that character transcends biology. Cheers erupted in common areas across the station. Not everyone celebrated. Some delegates still viewed humans with suspicion, but the majority had shifted from fear to acceptance. That evening, Dr. Hilver invited the 3 humans to a private garden deep within the station. Bioluminescent plants created a soft glow. A small stream recycled water through smooth stones. It felt almost like Earth. "You have changed this place," the ancient being said. Before you arrived, most species here had never encountered true hardship. They live on gentle worlds with stable climates and abundant resources. They do not understand struggle. And now, Rebecca asked, now they have seen what struggle produces, Dr. Hilver said. Strength, resilience, compassion born from knowing what it means to suffer. You ran into toxic gas to save strangers because your world taught you that survival sometimes requires sacrifice. That is a lesson most here have never learned. David looked up at the artificial sky. Do you think they will ever really accept us? Not just tolerate us, but actually see us as equals. Some already do, Dr. Hilver said. Others may never. But you have started a conversation that needed to happen. The galaxy has grown comfortable, perhaps too comfortable. Deathworld species remind us that life finds a way, even in the harshest conditions. That is a valuable perspective. Amy smiled. So we are like the universe's tough love? Dr. Hilver's branches rustled with amusement. An apt description, and perhaps exactly what this university needed. Classes started 3 weeks after the rescue. Rebecca walked into advanced biochemistry and found herself sitting between Prism and a student named Flux, whose body constantly shifted between liquid and solid states. The classroom held 30 students from 18 different worlds, all watching the 3 humans with a mixture of curiosity and caution. Professor Krell, a being with 6 arms and compound eyes, began the lecture. Today we discuss energy metabolism across different biological systems. Let us start with the most efficient method, direct photosynthesis. Verdant's leaves rustled proudly as the professor explained how some species converted starlight directly into usable energy. Clean, simple, elegant. Now, Professor Krell said, let us examine the opposite end of the spectrum. Consumption-based metabolism, as practiced by deathworld species. A holographic display appeared, showing a simplified diagram of the human digestive system. Rebecca recognized it from her own biology textbooks, but seeing it presented to aliens made her suddenly self-conscious. This is the human digestive tract, Professor Krell explained. Note the complexity. Multiple specialized organs, each performing specific chemical processes. The mouth mechanically breaks down food. The stomach uses hydrochloric acid for chemical breakdown. The small intestine employs enzymatic digestion. The large intestine hosts bacterial colonies for final nutrient extraction. A student near the back, one of the geometric beings, raised a question. Professor, is this not unnecessarily complicated? Why use so many steps? Excellent question, Professor Krell said. Rebecca Stone, perhaps you can explain? Rebecca stood, aware that every eye in the room focused on her. On Earth, we cannot choose our food sources like photosynthetic species can with sunlight. We have to eat whatever we can find. Plants, animals, fungi, everything has different molecular structures. Our digestive system has to break down all of it efficiently. But the acid, another student said, why such dangerous chemicals? Because Earth is dangerous, Rebecca said simply. We eat things that might be contaminated with harmful bacteria. The stomach acid kills those threats before they can hurt us. It also denatures proteins, which means breaking down complex molecules into simpler forms we can absorb. Dr. Quilmesh, sitting in on the lecture, added context. I've been researching this. Human stomach acid has a pH between 1.5 and 3.5 that is comparable to industrial solvents. Yet human tissue is not damaged because of a protective mucus layer and rapid cellular regeneration. Remarkable adaptation. Professor Krell nodded approvingly. And the bacterial colonies? David Park explained their function. David stood. We host between 30 and 40 trillion bacterial cells in our digestive system. They outnumber our own cells. These bacteria break down food components we cannot digest on our own, produce vitamins like K and B12, regulate our immune system, and protect against harmful pathogens. Flux's liquid form rippled with confusion. You allow bacteria to live inside you? Bacteria that could potentially become harmful. They could, David admitted. But they usually do not because we have a symbiotic relationship. We give them food and shelter. They give us nutrients and protection. It is cooperation. A small furred student named Whisper spoke up nervously. But what if the cooperation fails? What if the bacteria turn against you? Then we get sick, Amy said. It happens. Our immune systems fight the bad bacteria. Sometimes we take medicine to help. Usually, we recover and the balance is restored. You allow your survival to depend on maintaining balance with trillions of potentially hostile organisms. Whisper's translator conveyed shock. When you put it that way, it sounds risky, Amy said. But remember, we evolved together. Our bacteria are not foreign invaders. They are part of our ecosystem. We literally cannot survive without them. Professor Krell brought up another holographic display, this one showing comparative energy efficiency across species. Photosynthesis converts approximately 3 to 6% of available light energy into chemical energy. Very clean, but limited by light availability. Human consumption-based metabolism, by contrast, can achieve up to 40% efficiency in converting food to usable energy. The trade-off is complexity and risk. Why is efficiency so important on Earth? Prism asked. Rebecca thought about how to explain. Earth has seasons, times when food is scarce. Our ancestors had to survive winters, droughts, famines. High metabolic efficiency meant the difference between living and dying. We needed to extract every possible calorie from whatever food we could find. Plus, we move a lot, David added. Humans are endurance hunters. We chase prey over long distances. That requires enormous amounts of energy. Our digestive system evolved to provide that energy as efficiently as possible. Professor Krell seemed pleased with the discussion. This illustrates a fundamental principle of xenobiology. There is no single correct solution to survival. Each species develops strategies suited to their environment. Deathworld species like humans face extreme pressures, so they develop extreme adaptations. After class, students lingered to ask more questions. The initial fear had faded, replaced by genuine scientific interest. Whisper wanted to know about taste and flavor perception. Flux asked about the mechanics of swallowing. Prism questioned how humans knew which foods were safe to eat. Rebecca, David, and Amy spent an hour answering questions, explaining details their classmates found fascinating. The conversation felt natural now, not the tense interrogation of their first days. Dr. Quillmesh approached as the crowd dispersed. I have preliminary results from our research. Would you like to see? They gathered around the professor's datapad. Charts and graphs displayed comparative data on digestive efficiency across species. Humans ranked near the top in terms of adaptability and energy extraction. Look at this, Dr. Quillmesh said, highlighting a specific graph. Your species can safely consume and digest over 5,000 different plant and animal species. The galactic average is approximately 70. You are dietary generalists to an extreme degree. We call ourselves omnivores, Rebecca said. We eat almost anything organic, Dr. Quillmesh corrected. I found records of humans consuming foods that would be toxic to 90% of known species. Capsaicin peppers, ethanol, foods with mold cultures intentionally added. Your definition of edible is remarkably broad. David laughed. We have a saying on Earth. Humans will eat anything that does not eat them first. Sometimes we eat things even if they fight back. Extraordinary, Dr. Quillmesh said. This adaptability explains your success as a species. You can survive in environments that would starve most other life forms. Over the following weeks, the humans became regular participants in academic discussions. Their perspective on biology, shaped by Earth's harsh conditions, offered insights that surprised even the professors. They explained endurance, adaptation, symbiosis, and survival with a practicality that came from lived experience. Other students started bringing them food samples, asking if humans could digest them. Rebecca identified 17 new potentially edible substances just by comparing molecular structures to known Earth foods. David helped design efficiency improvements for station food production systems. Amy started a cross-species nutrition study group that met twice a week. The station's social dynamics shifted. Humans were no longer the strange, frightening deathworlders. They were classmates, study partners, friends. Their bacterial colonies and acid stomachs became interesting biological features rather than threats. One evening, Prism invited the humans to a gathering in one of the common areas. 20 students from various worlds showed up, bringing foods from their home worlds to share. The humans contributed sandwiches, fruit, and something Amy called trail mix. We wanted to do this properly, Prism said, to share a meal together, as you showed us. Without fear. The evening felt like a small victory, proof that understanding could overcome initial terror. Share. The end of the first semester arrived faster than expected. Rebecca sat in the university library, surrounded by datapads and holographic displays showing research data. Her joint paper with Dr. Quillmesh was nearly complete. The title read, Digestive Aggression as Survival Adaptation, Reframing Deathworld Biology. David worked at the next table, helping Flux understand protein synthesis. The liquid being had struggled with the concept until David explained it using Earth cooking analogies. Now, they met 3 times a week to study together. Amy was across the room, leading her nutrition study group. 12 students from 8 different species gathered around her, discussing how different metabolic systems could potentially learn from each other. She had started the group with 3 members. Now she had to reserve larger meeting spaces. A chime indicated an incoming message. Rebecca checked her datapad and smiled. The Galactic Biology Journal had accepted their paper for publication. Dr. Quillmesh would be thrilled. Hey, a voice said. Prism floated beside her table, crystalline structure reflecting the library lights. Some of us are planning an end-of-semester celebration. Would you 3 come? We are meeting at Observation Deck 7. Definitely, Rebecca said. What is the occasion? Surviving our first semester, Prism said, and celebrating new friendships, especially unlikely ones. That evening, 40 students gathered on Observation Deck 7. The transparent dome offered a view of space that never got old, stars stretching in all directions. Someone had brought music from their homeworld, strange harmonies that somehow worked. Others contributed food, drinks, and cultural items for sharing. Administrator Pell made a surprise appearance. The tall stone being surveyed the gathering with what might have been approval. I wanted to address something, Pell said, voice carrying across the deck. 4 months ago, we nearly made a terrible mistake. We almost expelled 3 students because their biology frightened us, because difference seemed dangerous. The crowd quieted, listening. Those students proved us wrong, Pell continued. Not through arguments or protests, but through action. They saved lives. They shared knowledge. They demonstrated that character matters more than physiology. This university is better because they stayed. We are all better. Applause erupted, a cacophony of clapping, clicking, humming, and other species-specific appreciation sounds. Rebecca felt her face flush and used as such public recognition. Verdon approached, leaves arranged in formal patterns. I've been thinking about what you told us. About Earth seasons and food scarcity. My world has no winter. Food is always available. We never developed the need for such aggressive digestion because we never faced that pressure. Every world creates different challenges, Rebecca said. You developed other adaptations. Your photosynthesis is way more efficient than anything on Earth. Perhaps, Verdon said, but efficiency is not everything. Your adaptability, your ability to survive in changing conditions, that is valuable too. My species could learn from that. Dr. Hilver joined the conversation, the ancient being moving slowly between groups of students. This is what education should look like. Not just learning facts, but understanding perspectives. You humans have taught this station more than biochemistry. You have taught us humility. How so? David asked, walking over with Flux. Before you arrived, many species here believed they represented the pinnacle of evolution, Dr. Hilver said. Clean metabolism, efficient energy use, peaceful biology. Then you showed us that survival requires more than efficiency. It requires resilience, adaptability, and sometimes aggressive chemistry. Whisper, the small-furred student who had been terrified of bacteria, approached hesitantly. I wanted to apologize. When I first learned about your digestive system, I thought you were contaminated. I understand now that you are simply different. Your bacteria are not an infection. They are your partners. No apology needed, Amy said kindly. Our biology is scary if you're not used to it. We understand. I have been researching deathworlds, Whisper said. Did you know there are only 47 known Class 9 worlds in the entire galaxy? And only 6 have produced sapient species. Earth is one of the harshest environments known to support intelligent life. That explains why we are so weird, David said with a smile. Not weird, Whisper corrected. Exceptional. You are exceptional. Dr. Quillmesh floated through the crowd, tentacles carrying a datapad. Rebecca, I just received confirmation. Our paper has been accepted for presentation at the Galactic Biology Symposium next cycle. They want you to co-present with me. Rebecca's eyes widened. The symposium? That is one of the most prestigious conferences in the galaxy. Indeed, Dr. Quillmesh said, and they specifically requested that a human present the findings. They want to hear directly from a deathworlder about deathworld adaptations. You will be the first human to address the symposium. The weight of that responsibility settled on Rebecca's shoulders. Speaking to the galaxy's top biologists, representing not just herself, but all of Earth. I will do my best. You will do wonderfully, Dr. Quillmesh said. You have already changed minds here. Imagine what you can accomplish on a larger stage. As the celebration continued, Rebecca looked around the observation deck. Students from dozens of worlds talked, laughed, and shared food. Species that had never interacted before now studied together. Fear had transformed into friendship, panic into partnership. Professor Krell appeared, compound eyes reflecting the starlight. I wanted to tell you something. When Administrator Pell first announced we would accept human students, I voted against it. I thought it was too risky. I am glad I was outvoted. Thank you, Rebecca said. That means a lot. You 3 have proven something important, Krell said. That intelligence and compassion are not limited to species with gentle biology. Your digestive system may use acid and bacteria, but your hearts, if I may use the term metaphorically, are kind. That combination of strength and compassion is rare. David joined Rebecca at the observation window. Below them, the station stretched in all directions, a small island of life in the vastness of space. Think we will make it through 4 years here? Definitely, Rebecca said. We survived the first semester. We could survive anything. Amy came over, holding a strange beverage that glowed faintly blue. Prism had convinced her to try something from the crystalline homeworld. You know what is funny? We came here to learn about alien biology. Turns out we taught them just as much about human biology. Maybe that is the point, Rebecca said. Real education goes both ways. Prism floated over, structure sparkling. Group picture? I want to remember this moment. They gathered together, humans and aliens, posing for a holographic camera. In the image, you could not tell who had been afraid of whom just months earlier. You only saw students, friends, beings from across the galaxy learning to understand each other. The university had changed. Not overnight, not through some dramatic transformation, but gradually. One conversation at a time. One shared meal. One act of courage. One paper explaining that different did not mean dangerous. Rebecca knew challenges remained. Not everyone accepted humans yet. Some still viewed deathworlders with suspicion. But the conversation had started, and that mattered. Later that night, after the celebration ended, the three humans walked back to their dormitory. The station lights had dimmed to simulate nighttime, though the cycle still felt wrong to their Earth-trained bodies. Think we will ever really belong here? Amy asked. We already do, David said. We just belong differently than anyone expected. Rebecca smiled. Besides, belonging is overrated. Understanding is better. And I think we are finally being understood. They passed a group of students studying in a common area. Several waved. One called out a friendly greeting. Another invited them to a study session tomorrow. Normal interactions. Simple friendships. The kind of everyday acceptance that once seemed impossible. The humans had arrived on this station as curiosities, then threats, then heroes. Now, they were simply students, members of a community that had learned to see past acid stomachs and bacterial colonies to the beings underneath. It was enough. More than enough. It was exactly what they had hoped for when they first applied to Galactic University, a place to learn, to grow, and to prove that humanity belonged among the stars.